call the meeting to order. Please stand for the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Every selectmen's meeting, if you have a cell phone, please either turn it off or mute it. Thank you. Approval of the treasurer warrants for February 28th.
I make a motion that we approve the treasurer warrants for the 28th of February 2020.
All those in favor? Accounts payable warrant for March 3rd.
I make a motion that we approve the accounts payable warrants of March 3, 2020.
All those in favor? Thank you.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. You did notice there were two warrants, correct? We had a supplementary one.
Oh, I didn't know, it didn't say that there was a
No,
second.
yeah, but that's why, just plural, I meant to point that out to you.
Okay. There was two warrants on February 28th, is that correct?
That is correct.
So we need a motion to approve the supplemental.
I make a motion that we approve the supplemental warrant for February 28, 2020.
All those in favor? Thank you. Okay, we have the approval of the minutes from February 25th. Do we have any corrections, any issues with those minutes? If not, I take a motion.
Move the minutes as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. Okay, we have no special presentations or awards. We do have some committee appointments. Danny Kahn, appearance of the town committee, and Carla Brooke Dickenstein for the comprehensive plan. Did I say that right?
Dixon.
Dixon, okay.
Dixon, yeah.
Can we bring them both at the same time and approve them?
Yes, you can if you like.
I'd like to make a motion to approve both.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Thank you. Okay, we have two public hearings. The first one is for a liquor license for Carla Chapman doing business as Cubby Hole at 213 West Alma Road.
Madam
Can I
Chair,
have a motion to have a public hearing, please?
I move to go into a public hearing.
I'll
for
second
purpose
it.
of
All those in favor? Okay. The liquor license is for Carla Chapman doing business as Cubby Hole at 213 West Alma Road. Do we have any questions, issues? I don't believe she's here tonight.
It was a renewal.
Yeah, it's just a renewal.
I'll move the public hearing, please.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the liquor license renewal of Carla Chapman doing business as the Cubby Hole at 213 West Elm Road, Wiscasset.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, we have another public hearing. Can we have a motion to have a public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? I know. This one is for Chandler Soden, doing business in a silent way, LCC at 65 Main Street. Do we have any questions? Is there any issues with the application? This is not a renewal. This is a new liquor license.
Where is 65 Main Street? Is that the old Five and Dime?
It's just before the key bank building, that one over there?
Yeah.
I think that's
Oh,
the
the
building.
building where the flower shop was.
Yeah.
Yeah, most recently, I think it was a print maker, right? It was like a workshop for print maker.
Okay, you narrowed it down.
It's in that block.
Yes, okay, yeah.
It's a big block, but it's
It's a
in
long
there.
block, yeah.
Right.
It's in that
It's
block.
about 3 or 4 down from in the cove.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Oh, we can't, we have to.
We
have
still
a public
vote,
hearing.
yeah.
my.
I almost said ask for a vote.
Yes, you did.
I have a motion to come out of public hearing, please.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor? Okay, now you can make your motion, Jeff.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Thank you. Okay, the next is public comment. At each regular selectmen meeting, there will be time for voters who any resident or taxpayer of the town of Wiscasset to address the selectmen regarding any item that is not on the agenda for that meeting. Do we have any public comments? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, I didn't see it was your Cam, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay, you can call me ma'am. Thank you. I'm here to ask for your help, and I hope you will indulge me my time.
Well, you got 5 minutes.
I know. As most of you know, in 2016, Jim and I purchased a derelict building on Fort Hill Street that had originally been a carriage house and more recently had housed law offices. We knew before purchasing that Wiscasset had a new historic preservation ordinance, and immediately after closing, we met with the town planner and CEO to determine what approvals and permits were required to create a live-work space in the building. The planner and CEO guided us through the process, and we obtained a COA signed by the planner that stated we were approved for a live-work space. And we obtained a building permit from the CEO that specifically said no planning board approval was required. With those in hand, we made extensive renovations, and today that derelict building has a tax assessed value almost twice what it did before those renovations. Now, almost 4 years later, the current CEO is refusing to accept the permits and approvals we had previously been granted. He told us we can no longer operate a business in the building unless we seek planning board approval, which in 2016, we were specifically told we did not need. Let me explain why we believe this was a simple misunderstanding. We were told in 2016 that one business could operate in the building without planning board approval, but adding a second business would require it. In September of last year, Jim decided to focus on a not-for-profit that he had formed. So he went to the town clerk and canceled the business license for his antique business, and a few weeks later applied for a new business license to operate the not-for-profit. When the new business license crossed the CEO's desk, it appears he mistakenly believed that Jim wanted to operate 2 businesses, and after consulting with the planning board chair, informed Jim that a site plan review would be required. Jim attempted to clarify the misunderstanding by providing them with the approvals and building permit we had received, and still they would not acknowledge those approvals. After months of fruitless discussions and emails with the CEO, planning board chair, and eventually the town manager, we retained an attorney who sent a letter to the town describing the situation and citing Maine case law that once a town has granted permissions such as these, they cannot reverse those decisions because the person they were granted to relied on them in good faith before making an investment. In our case, we were granted permission to create a live-work space, and our investment was not only substantial, but it benefited the town. It's been 3 weeks since the town received our attorney's short letter, and 5 months since Jim submitted the business license application, and we've heard nothing. This board often talks about attracting new business, and some of you would like to ask voters to again fund a town planner. We made a sizable investment in Wiscasset, and that investment benefited the town by adding to the tax rolls. But our investment is being jeopardized because no one in a position of authority is honoring the work of the town planner that we once had. We did everything the officials in charge directed us to do and obtained the required approvals, and yet our investment is being questioned and our livelihood is being compromised. Over the past 5 months, we've tried to handle this respectfully. We have no desire to proceed along a legal path, but we will protect our investment. So I implore you to review this information and ask your attorney to return a quick decision so that we can move forward with the approval of Jim's business license without any further delay. And while I'm aware that you can get some of this information from the town manager, I know there was some problem in finding all of the documentation, so here it is for you. Our building permit is in there. Our building permit is in there. Our COA is in there. There you go. There's a letter, or excuse me, a news article where the town planner was interviewed, and the letter from our attorney, as well as a copy of what I had to say. And I really do hope that you can bring this to a quick conclusion.
Thank you, Kim. Is there anyone else for public comment?
Okay, does our lawyer have this?
Yes.
As I got that 4-page letter, I sent it to the attorney, who was going to communicate with the Dochi and coaching attorney. I haven't heard that.
It's in the attorney's hands at this point. Is there anyone else public comment? Seeing none, we will go on. We have no department head or committee chair report. Unfinished business. The electrical meter installation update. Ted Snowden, you're up. Okay.
Good evening, my name is Peter Wells. I'm helping out Ted and the Waterfront Committee with regard to developing a plan showing where the meters are going to go and where the rental spaces are.
Okay.
We've been meeting the past 2 weeks. And this is a plan at 1 inch equal 20 feet of the Creamery Pier, and I have copies of the proposed locations of the meters and rentals. There's 2 there.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Thank you.
And basically, it shows the area in question. Shows the pier itself. North is to the top of the map itself. And we've shown 8 locations for meters, beginning with number 1 at the entrance, the main entrance to the pier. We've indicated sizes of buildings that could go within that area. We had some constraints with regard to pedestrian movements through the pier, and also shed access onto the pier, so people can bring their sheds or stores and leave them. So the concept was to create a space that had buildings on the perimeter, leaving the view shed to the river open, and creating spaces for public seating, benches, planters, what have you. Sprague's hasn't really changed much. Those buildings are located as shown. So it's basically showing you where the outlets are going to go. That's in a red dot on each one of the spaces. But as I mentioned last meeting that we met, you guys wanted to see a plan showing where these are going to go, and I hope this is sufficient enough.
Yeah, that's great, thank you.
Any questions?
That's for 8 meters, correct?
Correct.
Now, Sue, do we have 8 vendors down there?
Yes,
You do.
we have 7,
You have 7.
2 down on the other pier.
Okay. On this pier, we have 7
Now,
now.
yes.
Because I went home and I started thinking about this whole situation. And I'm thinking, we're putting in meters. I would like to, I think maybe one of those meters should belong to the town of Wiscasset. Because if we were to choose to use that space for whatever, during the Christmas holidays or our concert, we would have our own electrical supply. And it was just a thought that came into my head when I was thinking about this. But I don't want to turn around and say, well, we can't have 8 shops down there either. That's what I'm thinking of. Can we do 9?
We can do that. There's only room, right, the way things are set up now, there's room for 7 businesses unless we move stuff around. But on the Chamber of Commerce, is it correct, they pay their, would they be paying their electricity or does the town take that? So I know that, because that could be the one that we could take over right there.
That makes sense.
Well, that's up to the board if that's what they would want to do, utilize
I
the,
don't think the chamber has a bill. I don't think.
well, they don't even pay rent or anything down there.
So that would be ours.
I don't think they even use electricity for anything. I can't think of what
Like
they
a little
buy.
lamp, I mean, not much, just a little lamp or
Yeah.
something.
So we could use that one as the
We
town
could-
of Wiscasset.
Yeah, seeing
Okay.
that we don't charge the rent for them there.
All right. On this map, which one is the,
The chamber one is the one to the bottom of the page,
oh, number 7?
in a catty corner fashion, yeah.
All right.
We've moved the chamber building over slightly just to open up the view, and also for, in case there might be a potential boardwalk someday connecting the 2 piers, this is a perfect spot to start the boardwalk.
Right.
But that's in the future.
What was the rationale, I'm just looking at the map, okay, I'm gonna ask questions. What is the rationale of putting it way back there? I would think because it's the Chamber of Commerce and people are gonna come in and ask questions about where to go and what to do, what to see in Wiscasset. You're going way down here, maybe they should be up front more.
Well, and that's one of the things we have to work out. They were down there, they wanted to originally be at the end so that people had to walk and walk by all the buildings, all the other businesses. But now, there's a couple of business, the blue building down there right by Route 1 is for sale, whether it's going to move or not. And there's 2 others that I think we either want to move or are for sale and going to go away. So I think there's an option.
Okay, so it's an option to be able to move that up.
I think so.
Okay, because I think that would, to me, that would make more sense that if they were up within the center of everything, you know, so people don't have to walk all the way down to the Chamber of Commerce.
I said I was gonna ask the same question. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so that's the 8 meters for each one of the businesses, okay.
I have a question.
Yes,
You were just talking about the possibility of the chamber's meter being a town meter. Last year, I believe, they paid their electric fee. They didn't pay a rental fee, but I believe they paid the electric fee. Just saying. So going forward, when we're going to meet with them in a couple of weeks, most likely, and review their new application,
it could be discussed at that time as to what we want to do, whether we want the town to pick up the bill or to continue letting them
okay.
pay that small amount. That can be a discussion. Does the board have any questions regarding this?
It's well done.
I think it's very well done. I like,
Thank you.
I like
It's a lot
this.
easier.
Now it's back to paying for it. Yes, Dad?
This is where I was thinking, I've got to buy lumber out of the waterfront budget, and there's enough money to pay for the meters. If we could just do it and get it done, and it's gonna save us in the long run.
Have the money come out of the waterfront budget?
Waterfront budget.
Yeah, I think that's where it should come from.
There is enough in there to managing it, and there is
Yeah.
enough to do that and fix the repairs that we have to do.
Okay, all right. I think that makes sounder sense than coming out of contingency or anything like that, coming out, right out of their budget. Perfect.
Do you want a motion?
Yes, and we'll need a motion to expend that money.
I'll make a motion that we access the waterfront fund for,
You pay the wiring and the metering.
for the meter project and the repair project on the,
From the water.
whatever. Is that what you call it, the repair?
The decks the deck boards on the main pier.
Yeah.
And then also there's between the commercial pier and the working pier, there's that boardwalk. That's either gonna be fixed or taken out according to the insurance company gentlemen.
So what are we talking for amount? I mean, total?
Well, we're gonna make it so it's safe, so we're probably talking, what, close to $5,000 on the meters, and $1,600 on the boards for the pier, the creamery pier, and I haven't got into that one piece down on the end, on the
Okay.
other section.
And Sue, you have it in your budget, I assume?
There's,
There's
yes,
nothing in the waterfront
it is in the
budget?
budget.
Okay. All right.
So, you want me to restate whatever I was trying to say?
Keep going.
I think so.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we have Ted Snowden use the funds necessary for the meter project, the deck boards, and the walkway, repair, removal, whatever happens.
Out of the waterfront.
Yeah, from the waterfront committee's budget.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor? There, we got that one done.
Keith, thank you for the
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now, some peer policy update. Susan?
So I went home and I updated, took all the strike-throughs and all that,
Okay,
and I did email a copy back, but I made copies,
good.
Yeah, we don't have one.
We don't have
just
one
in
in here.
case. It'll take me a second. And I think I included everything that you asked for.
Thank you.
Certainly. So let me get this quickly. Jeff, you need a copy?
If you have not, if not, I can give them mine.
give it one.
So make sure I
Make
have
sure
one
that the
for
board has it.
Just give them a call.
What does the board think?
It's like everything we asked for.
I think it's
Yeah.
very good.
Excellent.
And I like the application too. It's very good.
Thank you, Susan.
So do
I'd
we
like to
want
make a
to,
motion to approve the peer application and updates and changes to the policy.
okay. Any questions from the board? All those in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
June warrants. Oh, that big packet we have there.
If you like, I could read the note that came with it from Jackie. February 24, the Wiscasset Planning Board held a public hearing on 3 draft articles, zoning, shoreland, and historic preservation, and copies of these articles are attached here. Please include these on the next select board agenda so they may be included in the June warrant. So at this point, it would be appropriate to have a motion to place them on the June warrant. And then the second paragraph is regarding 2 other draft articles pertaining to business laws and the glossary, and they'll be forwarded, what's the next one?
We have a public hearing next Monday.
And those will be forwarded to the board, so they may be included in the March 17th select board agenda. Again, for the board's approval to place them on the town warrant in June. So, this is probably close to the last ones. We get through the process in time.
Yeah.
Does the board have any comments, any questions?
We did a lot of work on this.
A lot of work.
Somebody mentioned this at the last, one of our meetings, I'm not sure who, but this isn't color coded, so you can't tell what the changes are.
I don't know.
We had them last week.
Can I answer that?
Sure.
MMA told me to do it this way. He said, don't put the cross out to the underlining. Just do it as it will appear in the finished ordinance.
But you have a sunburn post right here. The building.
I need to go back and remove all those underlines and scratches.
Well, no, but it's impossible to go through this and know what was added or subtracted or whatever.
But you could read it along with the summary.
But it was easier when it was marked, so you could know.
The historic preservation you've already approved, that was done last fall, and you have that with the underlining and the strikethroughs. The zoning hasn't been changed at all. The zoning ordinance now contains the shoreland and the historic preservation, and we've taken those 2 out to make it easier to find everything. And so the only change to the historic preservation is the article number, same with the shoreland, it's brought up to state standards.
Okay. I mean, I trust the planning board, difficult to look at this. Okay.
So we need a motion to.
Yes, we need a motion to.
I'll make a motion that we accept the shoreline zoning ordinance for inclusion on the warrant.
So the zoning shoreline, well,
Zoning,
Jackie
shoreline.
knows this more than we do.
And historic preservation, we get sale rate.
Zoning.
Zoning and historic.
Oh, and
preservation.
historic. And historic commission
To put it on the June ballot.
to put it on the June ballot, yes.
She's got all 3 of them.
Do I have a second?
Yes. You do.
All those in favor? Thank you. We have no new business, so we're on to the town manager's report.
Okay. Quite a few items. Budget workshops, we're having one on Thursday, this Thursday. Item B, town manager search, the deadline has passed, so the board will be reviewing the applications and working on what kind of process will be suitable. Item C is the investment committee. As you know, that was canceled due to a storm, and I think I've communicated with everybody that March 24 would work. I think everybody got that. Anyway, if that doesn't work, the following week, March 31, would be appropriate. Next is the future ORC assignments. And the ORC sent us sent a letter. One included a memo from Bruce Mullins regarding abandoned mobile homes, solar farm ordinance, certificates of occupancy. That's one That's one category. Not, the second one is illegal junkyards. Third one is business license process. Fourth one is requirement for building code. That's a national standard. I forget what MUBIC stands for. Item 5 is wastewater treatment plant regulations for coffee roasters and beer breweries. And as it happens, Rob is going up to a seminar on that tomorrow, so no doubt we'll know a lot more next week. And the last one I added is that marijuana one that's been hanging around. So I would ask the board to refer these to the ORC for their input and their recommendation. I don't think there's any chance these will make it for the June ballot.
No,
There's,
because it's a public hearing.
yeah. So this will most likely be November, assuming the ORC has made the modifications and makes the recommendation. So I'd ask that the board refer these to the ORC.
Okay, I'll make a motion to refer all those, to the ORC.
Just have on the fifth one, the wastewater treatment plant. Is the horse already out of the barn? Are we too late on
It's right on the edge. We don't want to create any problems for us. There is a draft document that I've asked Rob to show to whoever is the presenter tomorrow. Just make sure that we can use that. And if that's the case, we'll have the applicants sign that undertaking as if there's any problems with processing waste and so on and so forth, that it would be up to them to pay for the testing and whatever the remedy is.
Responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
make the point we need to protect the plant as soon as we can?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, nothing will happen without, there's a lot of steps to go through, not just us. But yeah, we have to protect the plant.
All right,
Okay.
you gonna second it?
I second.
Oh, you did? All right, we have a motion, second. All those in favor? Okay.
Okay, next item is, as you know, the board approved Stantec as our airport consultant, and we only had two applications, as you recollect, ABS from up north and Stantec, who are our existing professionals. So as that contract came out, I have signed it. Next item, they're not on the agenda, but stuff, you know how things come in a hurry. I've got a few things to add. There were some concerns about parking downtown, and one person on Main Street basically explained the difficulty of losing some parking spots, because as you recollect, to control the lights, they have to get the cars to move back, otherwise it'll trigger lights on the wall. So in one case, they're losing two, three spaces that they have traditionally used. So I referred it to Ernie, who said they've been testing lights and they'll be along and answering questions and responding to that individual complaint. So, and apparently it's all in the works, all documented and pretty much in stone at this point, but that's just how it is. Just for your information, Mike Benetis from Power Engineering is going to be doing some working on the transmission line upgrade that connects Main Yankee to, I think it's Winthrop. And it's a route, we talked about this before, I think Baston came by and explained, we have a strip there that's special to Main Yankee, and so this transmission thing is just repair, my understanding is, and I haven't spoken to them yet, they were going to stay in the same rights of way. I think they were just going to go up a few feet well within what's permitted, but they'll be starting and they want to talk to me and Bruce sometime next week. We haven't set up the appointment yet. Another thing that came up was an ambulance policy. It relates to a public law, chapter 218, that would be 1319. I'll let you have this. And apparently this was passed in September of last year. What it does is it's to protect firefighters and the EMTs from any repercussions from not being able to get back to their regular job on time. In other words, they're not going to be disciplined and so on and so forth. You know, so an 8 o'clock start, they can make it back to 8:45. This will protect them. And a requirement of that is that each ambulance service or fire department is supposed to have a policy in place that the individual EMTs or firefighters can give to their other employers. And there's a deadline on this, so I would like, it's pretty straightforward. I read it today, and apparently the law isn't implemented unless each ambulance or fire department has a policy in place. So if the board is okay with that, and this is just a standard template, spoke to the main municipal attorney today, so with the board's permission, I will note that this will approve. This is a motion to that effect.
You want a motion? We need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we
I can read something else, if you like. Absence from work for emergency response policy, public law 218.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Okay, and the last thing I have under the town manager's report, I explained to the chair that the U.S. Census is going to be doing some training, and they asked if they could use this room this coming Friday and the Friday after, and from 8 o'clock, for about a dozen people. So with the chair's agreement, I said yes, that'd be okay, and I have a simple thank you note from the U.S. Census.
What time will we end?
I don't think they last till 5 o'clock, but they asked for the space.
Okay. I would just ask the chief to have somebody come by and make sure the doors are locked, if that's okay. Thank you.
That's all I have. Next would be an executive session.
Okay, we need a motion to go into an executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056A.
I make a motion that we enter into an executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA subsection 405A.
Second.
All those in favor?
Oh, man.
I think we're going to have to work on it.
Hi, Dan. How are you?
We're going to see you tomorrow night. Are you staying for the executive session?
Is there going to be a
Will there be a motion after the executive session?